This week, a hot new bombshell has entered the villa. Hi everybody, welcome back to our Nano Reef Tank series. In this episode, we're going to take you through our quest to see one of the coolest symbiotic relationships in action.
Our little no-filter tank is almost 9 months old now. Our 14-gallon tank is home to our clownfish, Nemo and Timo, a bunch of different soft corals and LPS, as well as invertebrates and rock flower anemones. So far, we've taken you from a completely empty tank to our fast-growing reef, and a lot has changed since last time. So without further ado, let's get into it, and we'll catch you guys up to speed.
Our clownfish Nemo and Timo have almost doubled in size, and they feel so big now. Lately, they've also been hosting in the zoas. Zoas were the first corals that we added, and they are flourishing. Our garden has grown a lot, so much so that the different zoas are now running into each other, and these pink ones are the fastest growing, and they seem to be waging war on the others. But hopefully, the other ones don't get too overwhelmed, but we really like how our zoa garden is coming together.
Our rock flower anemones are also doing great. They haven't moved around in months. They seem very happy and healthy with the spots that they've chosen, and the sexy shrimp are always crawling over them.
Our euphelia are also doing really well. We added a new one, which is this pink frogspawn, to finish out the garden. So now we're really hoping that they fill out a little bit more and grow together. Our green frogspawn actually just started splitting, so that was really exciting.
Our pulsing xenia, like everyone predicted, is out of control, okay? It's almost covered our full island, but the island does seem to be keeping it contained. We've already sold a couple frags where the xenia grew out onto little rocks or shells that were near the island, and soon we're going to be trimming it directly to sell new frags.
Our macroalgae has also been growing rapidly, and we've actually been cutting off bits to sell. And we're actually thinking of getting more macroalgae, but we're in decision fatigue, so we're not sure which one to get. So if you guys have any suggestions on what you think might look good here, that would be really awesome. And we also learned that a previous macroalgae that we kept is illegal in the state of California.
We didn't keep it in California.
We kept it in Pennsylvania, but then when we were looking online, it was like, will not be shipped to California. It is an invasive species. So that was like an interesting thing to learn. But yeah, let us know. So anything but that one, let us know what you think.
Now that our tank is more mature, we've seen a little bit of our not so pretty algae, some red hair algae popping up and bubble algae here and there. This is normal in growing and maturing tanks, and unless it starts completely taking over our tank, we're not going to freak out about it.
Unfortunately, Chili, our dear cleaner shrimp, passed away during one of her molts. And the rocks have really felt empty without her, and we miss her scuttling around and eating up all the algae.
Last time, we asked you guys what animals we should think about adding to complete the tank stocking, and you had some great ideas. One idea in particular caught our attention, and now we're going to take you on that multi-month long journey. It has been a wild ride of ups and downs, but in the end, we got to see one of the coolest symbiotic pairs in all of reefing in action.
Okay, so this is a yellow watchman goby and tiger pistol shrimp pair at our local aquarium store. The watchman goby and the pistol shrimp dig and share a burrow for shelter. The pistol shrimp is equipped with a massive claw that can close with incredible power, making a snapping noise that you can even hear outside the tank. He's also an accomplished architect, constructing elaborate burrows, but he's practically blind, so this is where the goby comes in. They sit at the burrow entrance and keep an eye on everything. The shrimp keeps one antenna on the goby at all times, and if the goby sees something scary, it twitches its tail, sending a signal to the shrimp to run and hide. The goby will also bring back food for the shrimp, and in some cases, even help dig the burrow.
Like you guys suggested, we wanted to get a shrimp goby pair to see this for ourselves. We started out with a Randall's pistol shrimp and a Yasha goby. Not every kind of goby and shrimp pair well together, so make sure you do your research. These two paired up very quickly once we bought them, and we were very excited to get them into our tank. They immediately got to digging underneath the right side of our archway, but something was off with our goby. We moved our macroalgae around so we could keep a better eye on them, and within a day or two we noticed something. The Yasha goby had a parasite latched onto its gills. These spiral things that you can see emerging from the gills are the parasite's eggs. These types of parasites can't reproduce in captivity, but they're also very resistant to treatment and can't be removed without killing the fish. So the good news is we won't have to worry about our other fish getting infected. But the bad news is there's not much we can do for our goby except feed healthy foods, keep a good water quality, and hope that the infection isn't too bad.
Within days of us seeing the parasite, the shrimp had sealed off the burrow entrance, and neither of them came out. And after weeks of waiting, we had to face the reality that the goby probably didn't make it. We were hoping that the shrimp was still alive and just hiding. So every day we dropped pellets near the burrow entrance while it was still sealed. Sometimes we would hear a snap and hope that it was the shrimp's claw making the snapping sound. And that little sound kept our hopes up. Eventually, we caught a glimpse, just a red claw reaching out to grab food. So, the shrimp had survived.
As you guys probably know, best practice when buying fish is to quarantine them to make sure you aren't introducing any infections or parasites into your tank. We were confident in our local fish store's quarantine process, and this hadn't been a major concern for us. But our goby's parasite definitely made us rethink. But since we only have a nano tank, setting up a quarantine tank of equivalent size doesn't really make sense for us. For the time being, we're going to be extra careful when adding new livestock. Also, we know that the Yasha goby was wild caught, since it had a parasite that can't reproduce in captivity. Captive bred saltwater fish are a lot less common, but they're not unheard of, and when you can, it's always better to get a captive bred fish over wild caught. Since they're less likely to have diseases or parasites, they're typically more hardy, and they already respond well to aquarium food and artificial pellets.
With this in mind, we decided to try again, and we picked up a young yellow watchman goby, which is probably the most common and most popular of the watchman gobies. He's captive bred, which gives him a better chance of being a successful addition into our ecosystem. We drip acclimated him and carefully released him into the tank.
Although we did our best to introduce him near the shrimp, he immediately swam around. We were super worried that they wouldn't bond or that the shrimp would kill or hurt the fish and not accept him. At one point, the shrimp came out from a small hole in the rock. We can only assume that this was to try and get the goby's attention, since he never comes out normally. We don't know how they find each other, whether they smell each other or they need to communicate or see each other directly, but despite the shrimp's best efforts, by the time we went to bed, the goby was still free swimming in the tank and hadn't noticed the shrimp.
The next morning, we woke up and the goby was nowhere to be found. We had hoped that that meant he hid himself away with the shrimp in the burrow, but all we could do was wait.
It wasn't for another 2 weeks that we saw them poking their heads out of a little burrow here. They ran back into the burrow whenever we entered the room, and we never saw them eat, but they were alive. Look at them go! We think that they are best friends now. Thankfully, the shrimp accepted the goby as his new partner.
In our efforts to make sure that our shrimp and goby were getting fed, despite the fact that we very rarely ever saw them, we had been doing large broadcast feedings, which unfortunately resulted in the tank getting some excess nutrients, which then led to the red hair algae and green bubble algae. So to fix this, we got 2 elite members of the cleanup crew, which are Turbo, the turtle snail, and Emeraldy, the emerald crab.
That name is up for debate.
No, it's not. Both eat algae, with Turbo specializing in hair algae and the emerald crab loving bubble algae. And as soon as we got them into the tank, they got straight to work. Emeraldy was missing a claw when we first got him, so hopefully he can regrow that during a molt.
About a month later, we left on vacation. And if you want to know how we do that, go check out our video on leaving your tanks on vacation. But this is where our new critters started really to gain some confidence. Through our pet cam, we saw that our shrimp and goby were digging, reorganizing, and even coming out to get food from the auto feeder. Our new cleanup crew slowly but surely chopped away at all the algae problems. Now, 2 months after we got our yellow watchman, he finally stays out when we're in the room, and even swims a little to get food at feeding time.
It is so cool watching our goby and shrimp pair in action. The shrimp is always hard at work, kicking sand out of the burrow and scuttling around the entrance. The goby stares at you from the second you enter the room and is waiting to dash back inside to their sandy burrow. The shrimp will go on little expeditions to pick up larger pieces of sand to use as supports, and the goby shadows him at every step of the way.
Sometimes the goby helps dig by picking up large amounts of sand in his mouth. Over the last couple months, they've mined out the back corner of our tank under the macroalgae. They carry all this sand under the big rock and deposit it at one of their many burrow entrances. This entrance basically always stays open, but they have a lot of other entrances that are constantly shifting, opening, and closing. And our shrimp has grown a lot, almost doubling in size.
Our emerald crab grew too. She molted and got her claw back, so now she has 2. Look at them go. Our goby is a little bit scared of her, but the shrimp will snap at her to scare her off.
We were kind of worried that the clowns might be territorial, but Nemo and Timo seem best of friends with our new additions. We'll often see them hanging out with the goby at the burrow's entrance, although it's hard to film because they swim to the top to beg for food if we get too close.
All in all, this was a really awesome suggestion from you guys. The goby shrimp pair is one of our favorite parts of the tank. They're always doing something interesting, and whenever we see the shrimp leaving the burrow with its bodyguard, it feels really special.
An unexpectedly awesome addition is the emerald crab. It's so active, scuttling on the rocks, and it does a great job eating all the bubble algae. But we need your help. Give us some name suggestions for our goby and shrimp pair down in the comments, and for our emerald crab.
Not the emerald crab, that's emeraldy.
Okay. Well, for the goby shrimp pair, definitely. Our favorites will become their official names.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let us know in the comments what you think of our saltwater tank. Is there anything else that you guys would want to see or think we should add to the tank?
If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to see more tank updates, and feel free to follow us on Instagram at Tangled Earth Vivariums. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.